At an early point in this book, I had a thought. This kind of feels like Harry Potter, but more adult. Then a little bit after that, I realised, no wait, that's just what dark academia is. Let's talk about Babel. Hello, welcome, my name's Emma, and I wanted to talk about Babel by R.F. Kuang. Did I say Babel before? Slip of the tongue, because I'm British, so to me this is Babel, so I'm sorry, you'll have to just deal with that. So why did I think this was like Harry Potter but adult? Well, you've got the setting of the university, and you keep having these moments where the characters are rushing around to get to their classes on time. You know, there's a lot of anxiety about doing things right and learning about the professors that they've got. And then you've got the magical element. But the adult part of it at that point in the book came from the feeling that the main character and their new friend were facing a lot of racism from the people around them, and a realization that they won't fit ever amongst this society. But like I said, this is when I realised that dark academia is a thing. So this is my first dark academia book, and that's probably why my brain jumped to Harry Potter rather than to another book in the dark academia genre, because magical schools aren't new, and dark academia, the more grown-up version of that, I guess, has been around for a little while. I don't think all dark academia has to be magical. As far as I know, dark academia has to involve an education setting and also includes a lot of dark themes. So this is pretty perfect. It's also a pretty perfect book to read right now as I'm recording this. It's very autumnal and cold, because even when the chapters are set in the spring and summer, it's Oxford, it's England, it's still gonna rain. So this was a perfect pick for the sort of autumnal vibe. So what's Babel about? Well, this stars Robin Swift, like he's an actor. But this stars Robin Swift, that's his English name, by the way. He is from China, and he is plucked from his home by an English professor and is given an offer. Either I put you back where I found you, as in surrounded by your dying family, or you come with me, I look after you, and you promise that you will study to learn multiple languages to be a babbler, which is the cutesy name that they give to the people who study and then work at the Tower of Babel. The people who work at the tower can have a number of jobs, including straight up translation or legal translation, but the pinnacle, the cream of the crop, end up working in silversmith, because this is the part of the university / tower that brings in the most money. The magic's really cool. It's such a great concept. The idea is that you have a word in one language and a word in another language that both have similar meanings, but language is language, and those two are generally not going to be quite the same thing, and the magic comes from that gap. So if one word means to travel but to go smoothly, and the other means to go quickly or something like that, so one's in English, one's in Chinese, the gap in the middle creates this power that can then be used to make your cab go quicker and safer. These silver bars have been a boon to the British Empire. This book is set in the 1800s, just before the sort of Victorian era, and Britain has its fingers in a lot of pies, which is a very nice way to describe colonialism. Yay. So we'll get back to that. So silversmithing is valuable. It is incredibly valuable. And the reason why Robin was picked, as well as the rest of his cohort, is because they have grown up in other countries and they have been submerged in other languages, as well as English, with one exception, who we'll get back to, hopefully. So we have a group of mostly foreign people, well, foreign-born people, and they find themselves in this opposition where people don't really want to be around them because they're racist. But the country and the university needs them. It needs their talent, because that is the story of colonialism. Britain needed things from other countries, but refused to treat those countries fairly. If you hadn't guessed yet, this is a deeply political book, and if you're not on board with that, or not ready for something where politics is at the forefront, then maybe wait until you're in the mood, or maybe this book isn't for you. You could kind of say the book is split into two halves, where the first half mostly focuses on their lives at university. Definitely, like I said, where you get the Harry Potter / dark academia vibes. But even then, you have the rumblings of something that is going to happen, and these hints and things that are sort of growing underneath the surface, so that in the second half, things can shift and characters can realise that maybe working as a babbler isn't something that they can morally do. And so the second half shifts, and the focus is less on university and more on fighting the establishment. We also have political issues that will be much closer to home for a lot of readers, and that is the issue of racism. So one of the characters who is part of the central friendship group is white, and she is the only white person. And kind of brilliantly, she's the white woman archetype. As a girl, she is mistreated. She knows that she's not wanted at university in a different way to the others. She wasn't really supposed to be there, and through some backstory, she has managed to get this position. But with her, you get this odd feeling where she kind of hates the fact that they don't treat women well, but is also just very happy and feels very lucky to be in the position that she is. Okay, I'm sorry if I've done an awkward cut, because I think I maybe stepped a little into spoiler territory. So I will wrap up speaking about the white character of Letty by saying that the interactions between her and the others are so spot on, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who recognise in her real people from their lives that they've come across. The other characters that join Robin for this story are Ramiz, cutely named Raimi for most of the book, who has a very experience to Robin in that he grew up in a different country. He grew up in Calcutta and has been taken away, and he has a near perfect British accent, but he is more bold than Robin. He very much knows how people in this country see him, and is probably way more willing to fight than Robin is. And then you have Victoire, who is Haitian but grew up in France, and so she has the struggle of being one of the two girls in this cohort, and is also black, so she gets it from both sides. And this is something that she quietly suffers for a lot of the book, but I am really happy with where her character goes, so I will not say more than that. So something I really liked early on is the depiction of these characters and how their differences probably could strain at them, but in the early days they are so stressed and so worried about their position that they all just cling to each other for safety and become very good friends. But there is a realistic nature to their relationships in that there are strains and struggles because of their differences and because of how they feel about each other. So one of the reasons why I was really interested in reading this book, other than the flavourings of politics and colonialism, was that of language. And wow, has R.F. Kuang done her research. Obviously some of her background is in language and translation, but we're talking multiple languages. We're talking Latin and Greek and French. We're talking all sorts of languages. And the descriptions of the match pairs, as they're called, on the silver bars are so interesting. And you would kind of expect that to fall away as we get less of the university and studying stuff. But no, because this function is so important to everything, it is the crux of everything. We are getting those little tidbits about language all the way through the book. And I love learning about language. I love knowing where words come from. So that was always going to be an extra bonus for me. But yeah, language in this book is huge. It is key to everything. But I love the way that it does intersect with the politics. You know, there's fairly early on, Robin speaks to his professor and says, is it okay that we take languages from other places but then don't give them any translation help back in return? And every old white guy he speaks to about this is sort of laughs him off and says, language isn't a resource, you can't trade it, it's a free thing, so I don't see what's wrong with this. And so yeah, I guess cultural appropriation is also a key part of this without really naming it that way. Yeah, it's great that those things tie together to make a very clever point. And I think that might be all I can say without going into spoilers. I really enjoyed my time with this book. Yes, there's a lot of things that are to my taste, but also I really enjoyed my first foray into dark academia, and I might look into some more before the end of the year. Don't know. Not promising anything. But if you can tell, this is a huge recommendation from me. I do think it lives up to the hype. I know this is going to be the book that everyone is reviewing right now, so I'm just throwing my hat in. Why not? Yes, highly recommended. If you have read it, tell me your thoughts below, and I will see you back here for more book chatter very soon. Bye bye!